So this week we had to talk about leadership and what makes a good leader and a bad leader. Um, in my opinion, a good leader is someone who doesn't have to be told what to do. They do it because they want to. They do it because it's nature to them. It's natural to them. They don't do it to be rewarded with anything, with any type of raise or acknowledgement. They do it because, you know, they're supposed to, and that's the right thing to do. On the other hand, make a poor leader is someone who is conceited and does it because they know they'll get acknowledgement and know they'll get a raise at work, for example, or because they're favorites or something like that. Like a good leader, I would think, would be not necessarily a president because usually they're told what to do, but excuse me, but like an athlete. Let's take Didier Drogba. He he's from the Ivory Coast. He is an athlete because he wants to, but he had a choice, but he didn't necessarily have to start his own foundation, the Drogba Foundation, and help those in Africa and the Ivory Coast and become more educated and give them resources to help them out of poverty, basically. So that's a natural leader, you know. He played on Chelsea, but of course he was recognized for his actions and stuff. But after he left, um, all what he did for the team and everything he did, he wasn't even a captain. I don't even know who the captain was, but he wasn't even a captain. But yet he did what he was supposed to do. He knew it was the right thing to do, and that's what a leader should be. On the other hand, a poor leader would be, for example, I used to work retail. So either a coworker or a manager, usually like on a busy day or something, they'll it'd be a busy day, but they wouldn't necessarily help out others. I don't know if that makes sense. Like there are times when, the registers are backed up and there's like a long line forming and there's only like a select number of employees on the floor and like doing fitting rooms and stuff. And that one person is backing up to everything, that's a natural thing. But when they're expecting to tell them that they're doing a good job and stuff like that, yeah, it's acknowledgement, but they shouldn't be cocky about it and conceited about it. It's more like, what am I going to get out of this? Like, I'm helping you guys with all this backing up and fitting rooms and all that stuff, but I work in shoes. Like, what am I going to get out of it? Am I going to get a candy? Am I going to get a gym pass? Because we did have to wear business casual clothing. So either slacks, skirts, a nice blouse, no shoulders showing or anything like that. So when we got a gym pass, that we were doing a good job. However, most people didn't see it that way. Like, so you can't just be a leader and expect to get something in return. It doesn't always work like that. I used to think it worked like that because, I was just an associate, but I would care a lot about my work. And there's a lot of people that don't necessarily care about their work. There are times when I had to tell them what to do, and like I had to train employees. And at that point, when a manager assigns you a new associate, you kind of have to do it. But there were times also where I would go and introduce myself to a new associate and ask them if they needed anything. That's a leader by choice. Eventually I did get noticed by my managers and stuff and got moved up in a position to department supervisor, but once I got to department supervisor, I just felt different. I was supposed to feel like an equal, but in reality, I felt like I was being needy and moody, and that wasn't how I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be natural, but it didn't feel natural to me. Like in the book, it says, chapter 1, it says, I forgot where it was. is communication is not a thing, it's a process. And this is on page 6 on the Kindle ebook. Oh, my arm's hurting. And it's not. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to communicate just because I want to. That's called talking. Communicating is sending a message and receiving the message and giving feedback, basically. It's like a little cycle. It's a back and forth transaction, and it has to be given. It comes in nonverbal and verbal. Nonverbal would be like a manager telling you, hey, like, can you do this? Yeah, I can do that. That's verbal. If a coworker looks at you like, and they're dealing with like a rude customer, that's how you know they're fed up. Or if they take a deep breath in and deep breath out, that usually means that they're getting fed up or they're getting irritated or something. But that's not always a good thing to do from the customer because they will tell you something. I've never done it before, but something to look at. And then, so they just talk about the receiver. Leadership, I'm going to talk about the leadership of the special forms of human communication. Leadership is about who you are. If you feel like someone is watching you and you're forced to be a leader, don't do it because you're just pretending to be someone you're not. You always have, when you're a leader, you have to do it when people are watching and when they're not. It doesn't even matter if they're watching or not. Like, you just have to know when the right thing to do is, and if someone needs help, you need to go approach them. That's how you know. Leadership is about how you act. Definitely it is. I learned that, not the hard way, but I definitely learned that now that I was a department supervisor, because you could be really nice to people, but they're always gonna just roll their eyes at you or anything. So you need to know how to control yourself. You need to know how to portray yourself. You can't just be going in with jeans and Nikes all the time because you're just a person, but you're not. You're someone you're being looked up to. Being you're more watched. You're more on surveillance because now you're at a higher position. So people are actually watching you as you work. And it's actually kind of creepy in a way, but it's eye opening. Leadership is about what you do. So I've been talking about this whole time that it's voluntary. If you're forced to do it, that's not who you are. So leadership is about how you work with others, and that's really true as well because there'd be times when I wouldn't work, but people would be in charge of doing my merchandising and my freight. But we have to go by a certain book. So I would come in the next day and everything would be out of the ordinary. Nothing would be in its place. So I was very frustrated because first, like, I don't even work that day, and for me to come in and do double the work, so that's not fair. But you just have to know how to talk to them and know how to show them the right way to do it, like patiently and all that stuff. You can't be the B word necessarily. You can't do that. You can't give attitude. I mean, you could give attitude here and there, but not to the point where you come off as rude, because then that's when they lose all respect for you, and then respect is like the number one thing on the board. And so you can't be selfish, you can't be bad, toxic. Like, that's not a leader, that's just a dictator basically. Okay, and then chapter 2 talks about leadership and followership. So when I used to think of myself as a follower, not recently, but like I want to say junior year, sophomore year-ish. No, probably my junior year. I was more of a follower than a leader, just because I would do what other people were doing. I wouldn't be my own person. If people were wearing a certain pair of jeans, I'd wear a certain pair of jeans because that was in. If people were sneaking out of their house, I would sneak out of my house, but I never snuck in my house. I lived in a two-story house. Never wanted to jump out the window, probably break a leg or something. But followership doesn't necessarily have to be influenced by bad people or negative influences. That's the better word. You're your own person. If you were, if you have friends that are negative influences on you, then that's probably your like cue to like walk away from that situation. But luckily, I was around positive influences. I did have some negative influences, but I wasn't comfortable doing it. And if you have that gut feeling, you just know you shouldn't be doing it. What else is there? What is this? Styles of leadership communication. Not. So basically, what I was saying, you talk with everybody, you set goals for yourself. But there's times when I did feel like a leader, like my freshman year in soccer. I was center defense, like in the very back, center defense. So I would be in charge of the defensive line, and I would have a vision towards the whole field. So I tell people like, hey, open up, or hey, like you have a man on you and stuff like that. Or when we had to push up, I'd be like, hey, let's push up, guys, and we go to the middle of the line. I usually would go to the halfway circle, and then just wait there, and then I'd pull back after the forwards are coming and stuff like that. But everybody has their own way of portraying leadership and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I was more of a follower because I did at one point feel so alone. And this is going to get very personal, but I'm pretty sure I shared this with you on my other class. I think I did. But my friend did pass away junior year. So I didn't know the path anymore. Like it was like I had one path, but it was blocked off by like a brick wall. I didn't have anything to go over it or anything like that. I just felt so alone. Eventually, volleyball season came around and I was able to have my group of friends, but it was like no escape. So I definitely was a follower, definitely looking for my place where I belonged and stuff. But yeah, eventually, my senior year, I did become more of a leader. I became more of myself since I was going to be graduating and going to be going to college soon, and I had to do a lot of stuff on my own. And even now, I feel like a leader should be a role model, and I feel like I have been doing everything in my power to be a role model to my little brother and my little cousins, just because I'm going to be the first college graduate in my family with a bachelor's degree, in all my family, mom's and dad's side, this year. And it's honestly so awesome that I'm the firstborn in the new generation. So to me, it's so awesome to see all, like, that it's possible. It's a lot of work. It's very difficult at times, but it's possible, and you're doing it slowly but surely. And it's just a good feeling. Now that I think of it, it's a really good feeling knowing that I'm gonna finish soon and I'm gonna have all my little cousins looking up to me. It's just just thinking about it makes me like so happy because it's crazy how fast these 4 years went by. But yeah, leadership, we have to use it. But if it's not who you are, don't pretend to be like that. Something along those lines. So yeah.